Hey, what's up? It's me, Lex, back at you with another episode of the Pathfinder Grand Tournament. We're starting to approach the final stretch of Season 1 here, so I hope you're all excited to see who makes it to the next season and who dies. As a reminder for the rules, I will spin this wheel, which has all of the classes that are yet to compete in this round of the tournament. And I will assemble them into two teams of two. They will face off in a single match to the death. Every single character has the battle medicine skill feat, and every single spellcaster has the ability to cast any spell they've already cast an additional time per combat to emulate the fact that they should have consumables. Everyone's been supplied normal equipment, but not consumables, because that would be a lot to track. I also have it so only the highest initiative matters. I will pancake the rest of them so that there isn't a team taking 2 turns and immediately winning. And that's about it for the rules. It is pretty swingy, and as a disclaimer, like all of the other videos, this isn't particularly indicative of the performance of these classes. These are all level 2. This is only combat. There's a lot more to this game than what is being shown off here. This is just for fun. And with that out of the way, let's get this started by assembling our teams. Spinning the wheel to get our first character on Team 1. It looks like we're going to have the Magus. And who is our Magus? That'll be Philippa Carrington. Moved up in here. Philippa Carrington is a halfling magus wielding double gauntlet bows and leather armor, who is a starlit span for the ability to spell strike at range, as long as it's within the first range increment. They also have the Arcane Fist class features so that they can spell strike and do additional damage using their fists. So that with the gauntlet bow means that the hands here are going to be doing a solid amount of damage. As for what kinds of spells Philippa has prepared, looks like double shock and grasp and some general cantrip goodness. Let's see who Philippa is going to be paired with. Kitty, settle down. My goodness. She is abound with excitement. Alright, our second character on Team 1 is going to be our Animist. Our Animist is Igor Livchenko. The Animist is a relatively new class from War of Immortals. Igor Livchenko is a dwarven animist. He is a rock dwarf, and he follows the liturgist animistic practice, which starts him with the Circle of Spirits feat, allowing him to once per round choose an apparition he is attuned to become his primary apparition. The way animist works is you have attuned apparitions, and then you have a primary apparition that gives you your selection of spells. So down here in the spontaneous spells here, Interposing Earth and Protector Tree are the different spells for the different spirits that Igor Livchenko can attune to here. He is equipped with a clan dagger and a steel shield and a breastplate. Alrighty. And it looks like his spell list is geared towards either healing or offense, although it seems to be tuned on to healing, which is probably a good idea when paired with a Magus. Now we'll start assembling our Team 2. Spinning our wheel here. We're down to low-digit single numbers here of who can be on each team. It looks like our first competitor on Team 2 is going to be our Exemplar. And our Exemplar is... Where is our Exemplar? Did I forget to remove the exemplar when... Oh no, I moved them back. I see. Brain Dog will be our exemplar here. A Colo who wields a trident and a buckler with leather armor. They're focused on utilizing a shadow sheath with the trident to take advantage of ranged attacks, and Scar of the Survivor on their skin to heal themselves and their allies, potentially at higher levels. They also have a mirrored Aegis on their shield for some additional AC bonus for themselves and their allies. As for their class feats, they have the Energized Spark of Sonic so that they can deal sonic damage instead of spirit, and Hurl at the Horizon to increase the thrown distance on their trident by a decent amount, by 10 feet, which I believe was not updated properly when I created the character. Yes, that should be thrown 30 feet then. There we are. Alrighty. So yes, our exemplar here is focused around utilizing a buckler to protect themselves and their ally, and then throwing their trident over and over to do immense amounts of damage with a little bit of recovery in no scar but this. Now, let's see who our final combatant today is going to be. Kitty. What? It looks like it is going to be our witch. And our witch is Artla, who has Chingye as a familiar. Artla is a flesh warp witch, a devourer of decay witch, in fact, which is a nature-based patron, with the Scrounger's Glee Hex and the Enfeeble spell. And whenever they cast or sustain a hex, their familiar can draw in the waning strength of another. As long as a creature within 15 feet has maximum hit points of half, or has half of its maximum hit points or less, it becomes sickened 1 unless it succeeds on a fort save. Artla also has the Claw Living Weapon and the basic lesson for Lesson of Vengeance, with a spell list based around looks like debilitation, and then some damage over here. Artla should be a very worthy competitor. Alrighty. So with our teams assembled, let's get everyone into initiative and get this started. Rolling everyone, we will see who will be leading off. It is Igor Levchenko, and then it has to go over to Team 2, so Artla is fine, and then Brain Dog will be going last after Felipe Carrington. That way we can have the teams alternate. And let's begin this encounter. Igor Levchenko beginning combat here. Well, already attuned to the Garden of Healing. This allows him to put down a stationary emanation. Or sorry, this allows him to bring up an aura around himself that heals himself and allies. He is going to instead, however, set up himself and his teammate here by raising his shield and casting the Protector Tree spell. This allows him to place down a small tree on a square within range. That'll be right here between the two of them. Or actually right here up next to them. And it will absorb 10 damage from any strikes that either Philippa or he take while adjacent to it. And that'll be his whole turn here as he's readied himself. And we'll move on to Artla on our second team here, who is going to stay near Braindog for the Mirrored Aegis' passive effect, but wants to get something rolling on the enemy team here. She will cast Camel Spit, but not make the attack at the moment. And command her familiar, who has the ability to fly. Oh, it's independent actually, so it'll just fly on its own 40 feet to right here. And Artla's last action will be spent striding up to here. We'll move on to Philippa Carrington, who is going to, well, simply Spell Strike. It's an easy thing to do. And with a Gauntlet Bow range of 60 feet, they can Spell Strike basically the entire battleground. So they will imbue a Shocking Grasp into their strike as they fire at the past the witch towards the one that is wearing more immediately obvious and like dangerous equipment here. That'll be a miss, unfortunately. And then Philippa Carrington will use their last action to go into Arcane Cascade. Which will be dealing electricity damage. Alrighty. We'll move on then to Braindog, who is going to spend their first action using Raise the Walls. This allows them to, raise their shield and simultaneously give both themselves and one ally within 15 feet, so in this case Artla, +1 status bonus to AC, reflex saves, and any save against a Force, Spirit, Vitality, or Void effect for a minute. This will then move their Divine Spark over to the Shadow Sheath. Their second action will be spent striding closer out in front, and then their third action will be chucking a trident at Philippa Carrington here. And that'll hit and deal 5 damage. Alrighty. We'll move on to Igor Levchenko here, who, seeing his ally be injured, we'll take that as a good opportunity to begin the Garden of Healing. This gives him a 10-foot emanation here. And that will heal both himself and Philippa for 4 HP. Alrighty. So now he can sustain that for up to 1 minute, and it will heal himself and his ally for 1d4 hit points whenever he does. He still has 2 actions. So he is going to, and I do realize that I've forgotten the protector tree should have absorbed that damage anyway. But we'll go with it and say his next action, or 2 actions, will actually be to ready a strike if an enemy comes into his range. Unfortunately, the team that he is up against is not too keen on entering range. So Artla will stride up, and she sees that he is attempting to make the fight much harder for her team, and will sustain the camel spit to attack. That'll be a miss. And then her last action will be to cast Scrounger's Glee. So this causes Igorlovchenko here to need to make a will save. He will succeed, which means that he takes no effect. And no one is under half hit points, so Chingye does nothing. We'll move on to Philippa Carrington again, who is going to cast the actually just recharge the spell strike. And then fire it off at Artla, as Gorlovchenko is indicating that this would be a good idea. Burning the other Shocking Grasp. A hit will deal 20 damage to Artla here, almost immediately dropping her. But she is still up, and that takes all of Philippa's turn. So then we will move on to Brain Dog, who is going to try to bring down the very dangerous Magus here. A first action to strike will hit and do 6 damage, reducing the tree's HP to 4. A second action will also be made, throwing another trident. And then a third action will be raising the buckler on their open arm. Igorlovchenko is going to actually use Circle of Spirits to switch over to the Earth's Bile focus spell, and will cast it. This places down a 10-foot burst, which he will place there. Each creature in the area needs to make this reflex save. All of them fail it. And they take this much damage, plus the 1 persistent fire. There we are. Artla goes down, unconscious, as the area erupts into flames. And Igorlovchenko still has another action, with which he will grant his teammate guidance. And we'll move on to Philippa Carrington here, who is going to try to finish the fight quickly by charging Spell Strike, and then Spell Striking using Gouging Claw. Oh, but a miss means that Brain Dog will get an opportunity to act here. He steps over and will attempt to battle medicine his teammate, healing for 8 hit points. He will then throw a trident at Igor Levchenko, which will hit and deal 4 damage, which I believe is just enough to, yes, destroy the tree. And his last action has already been spent throwing that trident. He'll take some burn damage as we move on to Artla, who is going to stand, spit the camel spit spell, dealing 3 damage to Igor Levchenko. And then, with the last action, cast Needle of Vengeance on Igor Levchenko here. Artla will name herself, and so if Igor Levchenko attacks her, or takes hostile actions against her, the Igor Levchenko will take damage. Artla then takes some fire damage, but recovers from the persistent damage. Igor Levchenko, being barely injured, is going to push things here. He will simply sustain the Earth's Bile, which places down this 10-foot burst once again. All 3 of them need to make these saves, as he will take 2 mental damage. Oh, with a basic will save because of Needle of Vengeance, so he'll actually take 1 mental damage. And then he deals 5 damage to the familiar here, and 2 damage each to Braindog and Artla. The familiar goes down, and that was just his first action. So his second action will be honestly striding in and taking a swing at Artla with his clan dagger, which hits and deals 7 damage, bringing her back down. Philippa will recharge Spell Strike and Spell Strike once again, hitting with a gouging claw and doing a combined total of 10 damage to Braindog. Artla is out for the count because Braindog does not have a way to bring her back. As we will move on to Braindog's turn. Things are not looking great at all. So he will throw a trident at Igor Levchenko. That will miss, which means he can transcend Lyre's hidden blade. He interacts to draw another weapon and then strike at the same multiple attack penalty. Igor Levchenko is off guard to this, which means that Braindog now hits, dealing 7 damage. Braindog will then draw another trident, and his third action, as his Divine Spark moves into his Scar of the Survivor. His third action will be to attempt to battle medicine himself. But an unfortunate failure will leave him remaining bloodied as we move into the next round here. And as he takes some bleed and some fire damage, and recovers from neither. Igor Levchenko can sustain Earth's Bile once again, moving the area a little bit to not catch himself in the burst of flame. Braindog will succeed and so take no damage. But Igor Levchenko will continue to push his advantage by striking, missing because of the Raise the Walls ability, and then raising his own shield. And meanwhile, Felipe Carrington will recharge Spell Strike and then use it once again, missing. We'll move on to Braindog, who will use no scar but this to regain 8 hit points, which then switches the Divine Spark back over to the Shadow Sheath. And he will strike once at Igor Levchenko, 4 damage, and strike once more, and a critical miss. Igor Levchenko is bloodied. A double failure again on the recovery, and Igor Levchenko will take a moment to tap himself a 2-action heal, and then 1 action sustaining the Earth's Bile once again. Braindog continues to succeed the saving throws and only takes 2 damage. And we'll move on to Felipe Carrington. It seems like they will probably be the one to end this combat as they hit with another Spell Strike. Only for 8 damage, however, which is enough to bring Braindog down to near death. But Braindog does have a moment here, striking at Igor Levchenko, hitting for 9 damage. Striking again at Igor Levchenko, missing, and using Liar's Hidden Blade to make another attack at that same multiple attack penalty with Igorlev off guard. That'll hit and do 4 damage, and that ends Braindog's turn, reinvested in Scar of the Survivor. Braindog almost brought down by persistent damage, and Igor Levchenko will likely be able to close it out here with another burst of flame. And let's see. Even with half damage, Braindog goes down. And it looks like our victors for this week's battle are going to be the Animist and Magus. They put up a really solid fight, just having very dependable, slow and steady abilities. Igor Levchenko had a large amount of healing and continual damage. And Felipe Carrington also had the ability to dish out some very high damage if they had hit their spell strikes more consistently. All in all, a fun week, and I look forward to the next one. As a heads up, I will be unable to put out videos on February 21st and February 28th, the last 2 Fridays of February here, because I'm in the middle of a move, so I don't have my computer readily available. I had to make a trek out here to get this one set up, but after that, the 7th of March, and afterwards, I should be plenty fine to continue my regularly scheduled programming. So thank you everyone for waiting and for keeping up with the videos. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time. See ya. See ya. Thank you to my Ko-fi supporters. Donating at the few bucks support monthly tier, we have Phoenix FH, Kizo, Max Magnus 20019, Streggy, and Terran. You all, your support means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thanks for sticking through this move with me.